Hey, loves, how are you? Today, there's some really intense and profound energy and messages coming through from and for the Divine Masculine Collective. But if you are identifying as a feminine, also, please know, as we've been growing up and living in a more dominantly masculine society, many of us hold these energies internally as well. I certainly know that I personally have worked through these layers of some of these energies, and I'm sure I will again. But I just wanted to address there are very intense emotions and energies coming up from the masculine collective. And I've been feeling this quite deeply and physically on my right side, experiencing it energetically, not just with myself, but I've seen it in many of the most recent sessions that I've done with masculines and feminines alike. It's a theme that's showing up deeply where unprocessed emotions in the body, right? Unprocessed emotions go somewhere and they tend to go deeper into the body. And what I'm being shown and feeling is sort of like an energetic infection that's running in the body. Oh, it's 2:22 where I am. And it's the pain of the unprocessed emotions within the systems. And so I'm guided to talk to you guys about it and the importance of, especially for the masculines here who may have a hard time expressing emotions or seeing it as vulnerable. I want to honor that because I understand this is what you've been taught a majority of your life. And even as you're coming out of it and allowing yourself to attempt to thaw through some of that, it can get really intense and still hit pockets where it feels much safer and smarter to just freeze it back down, especially when the pain comes up and it feels much too overwhelming or vulnerable to deal with. But the reason it's being addressed here is because if we ignore it, it doesn't mean it goes away. And that's why I think it came through as an energetic infection, right? Because if we're, say, sick with a flu or a virus or an infection, we don't just ignore it and pretend it's not there. Well, sometimes we do, right? And then people get sicker. um, but this is where we're thawing out the places and spaces where we've dissociated from our emotions. And actually, what's coming to me right now is I've actually seen the whole thread of that occur where someone suppressed their emotions and then it became a physical illness, but they ignored that as well. And it became so suppressed in the system. Actually, I'm sharing this because it's honestly what happened to my own mother. Okay. She was ignoring the emotions and then ignoring what her body was telling her until it was unfortunately too late. Okay. And I'm saying this in honor of my mother and just how important it is for us to address these things emotionally and physically. Um, they might feel and seem like vulnerabilities in the moment that they're occurring. Well, again, when we look at the actual truth of our emotions or what's going on in our bodies, then we can actually address those and find solutions, okay, versus pretending these things aren't existing and then just getting sicker and sicker and sicker because unprocessed emotions do, like I said, they clog up into the body. They still have to go somewhere. Just because we don't deal with them doesn't mean that they don't exist, okay? So when you're going through these processes of getting honest with yourself, I'm going to just be all the way real, especially as a masculine or someone who has had to build up tremendous protective mechanisms to protect yourself, even as feminines. Like I went through that myself, right? Where I couldn't fully drop into being vulnerable. Um, and allow myself to heal at deeper emotional and physical levels until I got myself safe, right? And a big part of it is learning how to hold these spaces for yourself, or finding someone that you truly know that you're safe with, or that you can feel safe with, to process the emotions or what's happening. Okay. And so it's really important to be open to being honest with ourselves. Okay. And especially when you're dropping into maybe processing the emotions that are scary or overwhelming or very painful, I will reiterate for you, and I'm going to have your back on, yeah, no, you shouldn't just be vulnerable with anybody. It's important to have some levels of protection. And I like to call it cushions in our system, right? Like, what I see in general and what I personally experienced is that we would have these ice walls up, or these big walls or defense mechanisms or protective mechanisms up, right? And it would be like this tough exterior. On the inside, we're in pain, or we're hurting, or we're sad, but we don't know how to express it, so we just put on like this tough exterior. Okay. And I did it for years and didn't even know I was doing it. Like, I had all this stuff going on inside, and everybody thought I was fine. Everybody thought Danielle's the strong, tough one. She'll be good. And they were right to a degree. I always did come out the other side good, but internally, I was a mess. I was exhausted. I was scared. I was hurting deeply, but I didn't have anyone to talk to in a way that they would understand. And there was a part of me that really literally didn't even know how to do it at that time, right? Because I had so many protective mechanisms up in my system to survive, which needed to be there. I want to acknowledge that. I needed those at that time because there was no other way. I didn't know another way. It was the only way that I could survive in my circumstances. You know what I'm saying? So I know that this has happened to many of you. So I just want to start out by acknowledging that whatever defense or protective mechanisms got you to this place and space, we're going to honor those. They did their job. Okay. Those things don't make you bad or wrong, right? It's just, okay, now how can we thaw out the frozen parts, right? So that you can learn to honor truly what you're experiencing and truly process what's happening, and at the same time incorporate healthy boundaries, so that we're not going from these states of being totally frozen to blown wide open. Because what happens when we're just blown wide open, which does happen when we're growing, right? But what tends to happen is we open up. I would have experiences where I would open up, I would get hurt, and then I would freak out and I would run away, right? And I would go hide in my cave and lick my wounds. But now, like, what we've been learning to do, or what we're going to learn to do, is to show up for those parts of ourselves when a hurt or a pain comes up in our system. Okay, maybe we need to go run away to our cave for a little bit, but not with the intention of saying, okay, now I can't ever open up again because that hurt and I always get hurt. We say, okay, that hurt. That let me know something didn't feel right. But what can I do to find out what this is and start to heal it? Start to put a salve on it, right? Start to give it some medicine, some true medicine, some nourishing, some nourishment, right? Just like we would if we had a physical infection, right? You would, nurture and nourish yourself. You would take herbs or take medicines or whatever have you, however you choose to do that. You would rest, right? You would honor whatever your body needs so that it could heal to the best of its ability. This is the same thing that we have to do when these emotions come up. Because when they come up and we just freeze them off or shut them down, it might seem better in the moment, but in actuality, it's building up more and more scar tissue and infection in our systems. Okay. So when you are going into these pockets or places or spaces where these wounds or infections are getting pushed on, it's important to find, like I said, a safe way or a safe space to support yourself through this. And if I just want to say right here and right now, if this is something you do need support with or want support with, this is what I do, loves. Okay. I will drop my one on one sessions down in the comments. Ask anybody who's worked with me. Many people, they can come, they hold space. If emotions come up, I'm good with it. In fact, in my office, I have a box of tissues right on the table. Okay. It's all okay. And I'm okay and I'm comfortable with the emotions because I understand the very, very important healing powers of allowing those to come out and process. I know in the moments when it's happening, you may feel vulnerable or weak, but in all actuality, it's quite the opposite. Because as we can allow the infections to come out of our body and out of our cells, we actually get stronger. We get physically stronger, we get emotionally stronger. Because instead of ignoring or stuffing or freezing it out, we're actually thawing out and re-engaging those powers and those energies and those parts of ourself, which we actually need those parts of our life force. So in essence, when we've frozen ourselves off in the past as a defense mechanism, we were actually kind of freezing off part of our soul. Okay. So we want to get that back. We want to retrieve that. No, we don't want to carry around the pain, right? So what happens when we have these experiences and we freeze it off? Yeah, we're freezing the pain, but we're also freezing all of the good parts. Okay. So with the work that I do, we thaw out, right? You retrieve your essence back, and we work with treating and unraveling the painful energetic infection. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's about kind of cleaning it up and finding tools to support yourself through it. And yes, at first it's learning something new, so it might feel a little bit funny and a little bit vulnerable, right? That's why I'm even saying, if you want to do this for yourself, for starters, like hold space for yourself to get really honest with yourself, okay? To just allow yourself to be present with everything that is without judging yourself, okay? And I know I can feel already with some of you, even that right there goes against the grain of what you've been taught. Just roll with me. When you can get honest and real with yourself, you don't even have to do it for anybody else yet. Just do it for yourself in the safety of your own internal world, right? Just set the intention to get honest with yourself. When you get honest about all of those things, or one thing at a time, what you're going to find is you actually start to retrieve who you really are. And you can still be protective. It's important for you to still protect yourself. And it's an important part of just being a human on this planet. But I'm also acutely aware that a majority of our society is not in the place where we are here on this channel. Okay. This community here is going to be able to support these types of processes and conversations. Majority of the world is not doing it, so they're not going to be able to hold space for you and with you, right? People are going to be able to do for you what they've done for themselves. Okay. So you're going to want to connect with people who are either in the process or have been through the process. I mean, realistically, we're all still learning and moving and growing through it. Like I've said to you, I'm still learning every day. Okay. But I've gone through enough of this process to be here and understand it and talk to you about it. And also know that there is a way through it to the other side, and reaching those places and spaces where you can be open, but also still have standards and healthy boundaries in your system so that you're not just allowing hurts to come in, right? It's not about that. It's not saying be vulnerable and just let people hurt you. No, this is about getting vulnerable with yourself, because You've gone through so much. You've gone through a lifetime and probably lifetimes of people telling you who you should be, how you should think, how you should act, how you should live, how you should make money, how you should move. Realistically, how often have you truly sat down and thought about what you want for yourself without the voices or the programming of what everybody told you you should do? And it's not even to say that everything that you've been taught is wrong. I'm not saying that. You can take the good parts of everything that you've learned and apply them, right? We're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater here. There are a lot of good things that we've learned and that have helped us to survive and thrive in some cases, right? But the pieces and the parts where we've been squished or suppressed or inverted in our system is where we want to thaw out and start to retrieve all of who we are. Because at the end of the day, the beginning of the day, in the middle of the day, the more of our own true essence and power and energy that we have available, the more we're going to be able to accomplish, the more we're going to be able to show up for ourselves and for everybody that we love. Okay. And I understand that this is a vulnerable topic. I understand it is not an easy one, because I understand that if you're in that energy of that level of physical, emotional pain, that you want to freeze it off, that's an indicator that it's time to look into those pockets. It's time to either get yourself some support or make a commitment to yourself to intend to thaw that infection out and heal it. Okay, loves? If this is something that you think you would like more on, please drop it in the comments and let me know. I know many of you are working on it, but there's this sense in this part of the collective, like I said, whether it's masculine or feminine, where we're hitting these points where it's like the wounds are getting pressed on. And this is happening because we're being called to step more fully into our true, authentic selves. And well, we have to clean up those physical or emotional, spiritual infections that have been holding us back from being our full, true self. Okay, loves? And another portion of this that I want to address real quick is we've also lived in a world that was about doing, right? We've been taught to do, 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 do. That is a very masculine energy, right? Taking action. And it is a very beautiful, important one, right? But what can happen when we're going through these healing processes and transformational processes, our nervous systems and our physical and our emotional bodies are needing space to reset, not to never do again, but to also incorporate learning how to be, right? Because the dance is a combo of learning, doing, and also being, right? Because sometimes we do just need to be still, to learn what it means to just be present, be neutral, right? Be tempered and powerful in a whole different type of way than the doing type of power, okay? Because they're both powerful in and of their own right. And when we learn how to do both, that's when we're at our most powerful, okay? So it's not ever about getting rid of any one thing. It's about embracing it all and learning how to work with it, how to temper and harmonize and balance it, okay? We don't want to freeze out one thing for another. Although I will tell you, sometimes when we've only been in a doing, action oriented mindset for years and years and years, sometimes we do have to put that on the back burner for a bit and drop into learning how to retrain our nervous system and our body and our brain to learn how to just be. Okay. And what I mean by that is like letting yourself just sit in the sun and rejuvenate, or just sit in nature and relax, or not be constantly pushing and pushing and pushing to always have to do something and be doing something and be productive every single day. Sometimes just being and sitting is one of the most productive things you can actually do because you are allowing the physical, emotional body to reset and to heal. And I've told you this before, a healed nervous system or a healing nervous system is an exceedingly powerful, potent tool to have, right? Because that is where our balance comes in. That is how our human body functions optimally in its optimal health, right? Because our nervous system affects every area of our body, right? And then on top of it, as it's balanced, it can deal when our nervous system is healing, it can handle the emotions better. We don't have to suppress it because we can learn how to process it because we have space to do it. And from a spiritual perspective, the more healed and calm our nervous system is, the more space we have to invite our higher energies and essences home to our body. Okay. So learning how to be is actually an exceedingly powerful tool. Okay. And so, however you want to incorporate that into your being, right? Balancing your being or doing. But one of the things that you can know when it's actually in alignment is if you feel called to just rest, right? And maybe you feel that sense of guilt, like I should be doing something. I should get up and I should do this and I should do that. Maybe you're actually needing to just be for a while instead of having the pressure of the doing. And you can set your intentions that you will do those things. But as you're going through these depths of transformation, what you need to be doing could potentially be healing your nervous system. And I would like you to sit with that and consider that as a real, valid potential opportunity that you may be needing to heal your nervous system. And that is your doing action. It's still doing something. All right, loves. That's making me think I do have a Nourishing the Nervous System program that I did on my website. There's like 4 meditations and some videos to go along with those. I'm going to drop that in the pinned comment for you as well, along with my schedule. But I just really wanted to address the importance of this and why it's some foundational pieces to building the life that you're wanting, because having these skills to truly get real and honest with yourself about all of the areas of your life is going to put you in a position to be open to actually receiving the solutions to building the life that you really want. But if we're always only pushing in the way that we knew how to push, we're not actually giving enough space for the new to drop in. And I understand that it takes some time to reset and shift those ways of being. Listen, man in the mirror right here, woman in the mirror, I definitely had to walk through it. And there was times that I knew how to do it, and there was other times where I started to get a bit anxious or I felt unstable, and I would go right back into trying to push into doing. And then I had to really get real and centered in my being and learn how to navigate both sides. All right, loves. So again, if you would like any support with this, I would love to be able to support you through it. Also, if you're applying some of these to your business or your entrepreneurial strategies, these are some of the things that I'm going to be addressing and talking about in my New Earth Entrepreneur group. And so you're welcome to join that as well. There's some spaces open on March 23rd for that group session. All right. I love you. I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your day. I hope that this was helpful. And for all of you who might be going through this or who have gone through it, I appreciate your presence here and in allowing yourself to experience these things and to open up in deeper ways and to retrieving these beautiful parts of yourself. And my wish for you is that you get to experience the life that you deserve and that you came here for, loves. All right. I love you. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.